Hello, Milad here. I thought I would do a top 10 or 11 comics of December 2020, um, because I don't think it gets enough mention, these independent stuff that I usually like. Most of these are independent. There might be one, I think, that isn't independent. The rest of them are independent. We'll start off with number one, Origins by Boom Studios. It's a six-issue comic. This is number issue 2. Um, what well, like most comics that I like to read, it started off. It's usually the art and the layout that I like when I look at my indie comics. So if I like the artwork, I like the layout, and I'm like, I quite like the art and layout of this book when I flick through issue 1. And then I don't know the writer, which is always a plus. I always like finding new writers or writers I'm not familiar with. So this one's a post-apocalyptic tale. In the future, robots have destroyed all of humanity, and there's only one human left that has been saved by this uh, good android. There's a few androids or robots around, but most of them are evil robots who are just killing humans. And this one human is supposed to like bring humanity back and kill the evil robots. You don't quite know what's going on yet, but it's a nice little, like, easily paced book, easy flow, fun to read. I like it. I think you might also notice there's a slight pattern to all the books that I've been reading in December that I really enjoyed, because the next one is Giga by Vault, issue 2. Now, Vol is like one of is like a really happening little company. I mean, it has like these really nice covers, these little cardboard covers. Usually, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's always at the same price, $3.99, which is like £2. No, it's like £3 to £3.30 here. Yeah, in the UK. But anyway, this one's a post-apocalyptic tale set about a mecha apocalypse where giant robots have destroyed humanity, and now they just basically, after the war is over, humans are basically their servants. Like, they easily rust and stuff, so they need humans to like basically follow them, and they have their own followers to like clean them up and fix them up, or they kill the humans. So this story is about, well, it's not clear where it's going yet. Always, it's basically it being a setup, but the writing and the dialogue has been pretty good. Like, this guy on the wheelchair in the cover is the main guy, and the girl behind him. No, wait, I'm not quite clear on her yet, but basically, they got their friction going, and the artwork is really really nice, and the story and the mystery is getting good. I don't think this is a mini series. I think this is a long series, so at least 6 issues, probably 12. I think I'd recommend it as well because, again, it's in my top 10. And the next book is We Live, and this is by Aftershock. This cover, issue 3 cover, looks like it's a zombie. It's not quite that, but it is another post-apocalypse, except in this one, it's all the environment has mutated, so it's become inhospitable. A planet that has become inhospitable to humans, and there's only a few humans left surviving, but they don't have long left because, the grass, the insects, the megafauna that's come back, these crazy mutated animals. This is basically like living in that silent movie, the John Krasinski one. But everything around is dangerous to them, and they can only live in like small places. So anyway, so they just got a message from aliens, and the aliens said, "We'll save 92 children, uh, while the rest of you die." So, and they dropped like 92 like bracelets for kids to wear, and only those kids can wear. They can't, like, once a kid wears it, another kid can't wear it. So this is a story of the one like 6-year-old kid who's been taken by his 11-year-old sister, who found the bracelet but decided to give it to her brother, so that even though their family's dead and she's going to die, she wants to make sure her brother gets into space. And they have to go through this epic, violent, gory journey to the end. I think this is probably going to be a mini series, but I don't know if it's going to be 6 issues or 12 issues. That's not being clear, because this definitely has a finite story of him getting to the capsule that all these 92 kids are supposed to try and get to. And the artwork again, it's quite nice. The dialogue with the kids are really good, but sometimes the dialogue with the adults is a bit stiff. But it's still in my top. Still in my top. Still in my top. All right, next post-apocalyptic story is the DC Black Label, or what used to be Vertigo, by Jeff Lemire, one of my favorite writer artists of the last 10 years. Is such an author. This one is about a guy called Sweet Tooth, and this is a follow-up series to the original one, which has already ended, which is apparently being turned into a TV show, about Sweet Tooth, who is a hybrid animal-human. Basically, there's been a disease killing lots of humans, and the hybrid human animals have come back from the since the old tales of pagan times. Like, those creatures are taking over the world again. So in this little mini series is like years after the original Sweet Tooth died, and this is basically his clone, and the humans are trying to figure out a virus to kill all the hybrids, because right now they live underground. So if they can figure out how to kill him, then they'll be able to kill everyone above and live on top of the ground again. That's what the story is. And Lemire, he just writes these very melancholy, bittersweet stories that are always feels like perfection to me. I just like this theme of his stories. This is sci-fi stuff is where I really like going to whenever I read his stuff. Next book is Crossover. This isn't quite a post-apocalyptic, and it's unlike my usual taste. It's actually a superhero book, because I don't usually get superhero books. I usually just only get like one or two like Batmans a year, and they're usually in trades. So single issues are usually for independence for me. So in this one, Crossover, so it's the real world, but there's been an invasion in the real world, as in there's been an event where all the comic book characters like Superman, Batman, Spawn, etc. ended up in a city, and there's like this giant dome in the city, and the story is being told from the point of view of this woman who lives outside of the city, that lives in a comic book store. So because all these superheroes have trapped themselves in this dome on the city, they're just basically seen as terrorists or something. And they can recognize, and if there's somebody outside of it that's supposed to be in there, like a comic book character, they recognize them because they got all those comic book dots from the old days, from those 4-color drawings. So it's by Donny Cates, and Donny Cates is he can write some pretty good books sometimes. I like his stuff as well. Not all of them, but I like a lot. I like his stuff. I like quite a couple of his stuff, superhero stuff, like Crossover, and his original one was Buzzkill, I think. Yeah, it was Buzzkill. I really like Buzzkill. I'd recommend it because it's also by Image Comics. The next one is Inkblot by Image Comics, which is not a post-apocalyptic tale, but it might lead to a post-apocalypse. So we're in a fantasy world, and well, there's this family of magicians, and they basically go to like different planets and in different dimensions, and basically try to take over. And one of the siblings, the sister, she just decided to be a librarian. And one day when she was trying to cast spells, she accidentally created this cat out of Inkblot, out of an Inkblot. And basically this cat just travels through like different times and spaces and just causes mischief. And it's quite funny. And it's by Emma Kubert, who is the daughter of is it Adam? No, it's like one of the sisters, like Adam Kubert, Andy Kubert, and then Emma Kubert, and then Joe Kubert is their father. So it's nice to see her first book out, and it's kind of cute. I'd recommend this as well. It's not at the same echelon level as the others, but I find it quite amusing. All right, the next one is actually a superhero book. It's called Savage Dragon. Now, this is another Image book. I think I'll go through all the Image books first. Yeah. It's another Image book. I've been buying it for a very long time. It's on 255. Basically, it's a trash comic. It's not great. It's not like some amazing art worldy stuff. It's just something I've been buying for years. And this guy is basically an alien who, well, the original guy was basically an alien who landed on Earth, with his memory wiped clean, because in his previous life he was a bad guy, so they removed his memory, left him on Earth, and he grew up. His new memories helped made him into a better person. He became a policeman, and he dealt with all the mutants in his city of Chicago. And right now, but that guy is dead, and right now it's been taken over by the son, who's grown in real time over the last 255 issues, called Malcolm, and he's got a wife and kids, and it's a trash comic, but it's it's something quite dear, because something just fun to read. You guys probably won't like it, but I like it. All right, and next one is it's not quite post-apocalyptic, and it's another Image comic called Stillwater. It's basically this guy comes to the is being called to being called to come to this little mini town in the heartlands in America called Stillwater, which is also the name of the comic. And he needs to, it's in issue 4 now, and he finds out that in this city, no one ages or dies. So, like, falls off a building, he heals. If they get shot, it heals again. Nobody can die within the city limits. And he's because he's an outsider, they've not decided whether to kill him or not because of a mystery which I cannot say unless you read it. But the main reason I bought this comic, even though I don't like the artwork that much, the layout I like, because it's written by Chip Zdarsky, who I like a lot from Daredevil, because that guy can write, and he can write this book quite well as well. It's the mystery, the characterizations, the dialogue, which is why the next comic I'm going to talk about is his other book, and an official superhero book called Daredevil. Now, usually this comic I'll wait for a bunch of issues to come out before I read it, because with superhero books I really prefer reading comics in trades, but I also want to support the book because he's not one of the big writers, but I think he's gonna be after this, because this is a defining run of Daredevil. This is like Frank Miller level. This is like Kevin Smith or Bendis level. This is definitely a defining run, because right now, because it felt like first 10 issues was like it felt like season 3 of the Netflix film Daredevil. He's just been beaten down and he has to get back up, and it's like rough and it's violent and it's bloody and it's well thought out. There's nuances. The in this story, Daredevil accidentally kills a guy, and he has to deal with the consequences of killing somebody by accident, which is why he's in prison, because he voluntarily went to prison because of his actions. It's basically dealing with the morality of where a superhero can be if he has such strong values, while the criminals outside the city decide to go crazy. He has to figure out how to deal with them while still being in prison, like getting other people to help him in his area, like Spider-Man, etc. It is quite well written. The artwork, I don't really like the covers, but the inside artwork is beautiful. You don't understand how well that the figure drawings are, or how good the poses and the angles are, and the 3-point angles. It's a perfection kind of book. I think everyone should definitely read this. This is the epsilon of Daredevil right now. Next book, and I think it's the final book on my list, yes, is Maestro by Peter David. Now, Peter David, it has done the longest run on Hulk from like the 80s to the late 90s. So at least 10 years, 10, 11 years, I can't remember. But one of his defining stories was about the character Maestro, who is an evil version of the Hulk from the future, who decides to take over the world after a post-apocalypse, a nuclear post-apocalypse. He thinks humans are stupid, they're crazy, and the only way to keep him alive is for him to be in power, and he's power hungry, and he's going to enjoy himself. This is like the evil Hulk, the future Hulk, the Khan of Hulks. It's the reason I like this is, one, it goes towards my nostalgia for the old Peter David run, which was my favorite run, and two, Peter David has been writing it pretty well, really, and I think he's almost not almost back on form, and this storyline has been kind of like goes into what the Hulk is like the first three issues were really good. The last two issues have been more like the sequences of events that has to happen for him to be in power. But the first three issues basically showed what he saw when he came out, what the society was like, who was in charge, how he felt about everything, and then the last two issues has just been him taking over. It was a 5 issue run, but I think they extended it because they have another 5 issue run starting this month, so that following on from what Maestro does after he's in power. I think it's if you like Hulk and Maestro, I would recommend getting Future Imperfect, which is the first time you see Maestro, and I would get this. It's the Hulk and Daredevil are my two favorite Marvel characters, obviously. So I would recommend this as well. So I hope you like my list. I don't know how many I counted there. I did maybe 10, maybe 11. And I hope that you enjoy. Thanks, and ta